wanted to join you guys and give you what advice I could in terms of what I've experienced over the past 15 years and what it takes to carve a path for yourself in whatever your creative goals are. They could be in writing, they could be in art, music, anything creative. It takes a path forward and positive decision making. So with that, I'd like to introduce my co-panelist, Alison Mann.
Hi, I'm Alison. I have been in the animation industry for over 20 years. I know I look like 12, but I started off as an artist, and then I fell into creative recruiting, and I worked at studios like Nickelodeon, Paramount. I worked in gaming for about 10 years between Zynga and Disney Interactive. I worked at Illumination, almost every major studio minus DreamWorks and Pixar, I would say. My last corporate America job, I was VP of Creative Strategy over at Sony Pictures Animation, where my job was to read scripts and then figure out the visual language of the project should be. And then after 20 years in the industry, I got a little tired of the studio system, and so I flipped to being a rep, primarily because my whole career I spent fighting for talent. I'd get in trouble with studios, and there always would be like, are you for the studio or for the talent? And I would always be like, I'm for the talent, because without the talent, we have no studio. And so I was always a big advocator. I always played a role of being like Hannah in Switzerland in every job that I had. People would just come to me. I was kind of known as the Kevin Bacon of animation, where everybody was 6 degrees separated of me. And so, so I spent a lot of time just being like this connective tissue to people. And so my boss at the time, Christine Belson over at Sony, was like, you should go become a rep, go be a manager. And I was like, I don't know what that means. And then when I was going through my little midlife crisis, I got approached by John Huddle, who runs Fourth Wall Management. And he was like, come be a manager. And I was like, I don't know what that means, because in animation there's not a lot of representation. If you're a high-level director or writer, sure, but everybody else in between is like fend for yourself. So I took the leap of faith because I lead with curiosity, and I started at Fourth Wall a year and some change ago, and I produce as well. So I have about 10 projects in various stages between podcast, TV, feature, live action, animation. So in this job, while I was in animation, now I have a role that expands out, and so I rep writers and animation professionals and illustrators and filmmakers and creators, documentary filmmakers. And so for me, when I tend to get bored easily, this is a job that has allowed me to not get bored. And so that's been great. And then I'm also the co-founder of the BRIC Foundation. The BRIC Foundation stands for Break, Reinvent, Impact, and Change, and it's about creating access points for women and underrepresented groups that want to excel in creative leadership. We've been around for 6 years. We just are coming up with our 6th summit, 6th year of our summit in 2023. And we just registered the first ever state federal apprentice program for youth 16 to 24. So kiddos who are so
used every crutch that I had, if possible, and then it was just like a ton of bricks. If I don't do something creative, I'm gonna punch myself in the face, which, you know, I didn't really want to do that. It sounded painful. So I found through just experiencing different stuff, I was used to being in front of the camera, and I wanted to get behind. I wanted to give myself a shot of something that nobody could see the outside, where I could just be as weird and whatever behind a microphone, and I got into the voiceover side of things. So that was fun, all the weird little Gina moments. If you have a conversation with me, I'm gonna float into 8 different accents. Like, it's like my nervous tick. So, bless it, if it starts to come out. And I fell in love with being behind a mic, and weirdly inside of a tiny little closet with lots of soundproofing, using all the clothes I spent too much money on for good of soundproofing. And through that, I was able to start getting into narration of audiobooks. That's how I like to read books a lot, is listening, being in a car. It's just a cool sector that technology has taken us into, and taps a huge new market of human beings and readers that maybe wouldn't have listened to so many cool stories. So I learned a lot of things by myself, by Google, by YouTube, by finding mentors in the industry, by taking other classes, and literally just giving myself a little bit of a chance and shutting those inner voices off. And I'm a firm believer that things happen the way they're kind of supposed to, and if something's screaming at you internally, to take a little jump, even if it's a little baby jump, to go for it and put yourself out there. And that's actually how I crossed my path with Lorin. So if you listen to her audiobooks, you're gonna hear me inside your head. So that's been, I'm still newer in the industry. I don't have nearly the cool resume of these ladies, but I think perspective-wise too is I'm in that beginning stage of I finally took a chance on myself, and I'm still in that 9 to 5, and then learning to sacrifice time. And time management is tough when you're drained, and then you're like, okay, now I still have to do creative. Okay, turn that corporate mindset off. Get in your closet for 4 hours and record, and then don't come out. So that perspective, if you guys have questions, happy to talk about it, and time management, all that too. And these ladies, they have a busy, busy life, so any of those questions come at us, but I'll let these ladies take over.
Yeah, and definitely regarding questions, we'll be saving time at the end for any of your questions, so we definitely invite them. But that's a great comment about setting time aside, because for my full-time job, I'm busy in animation. Many times we work overtime hours and VFX. So currently I'm working on a Marvel project, and it demands a lot of my time and a lot of my energy. It's stressful. It takes a lot of myself, but I love to write. And sometimes writing can be scary. It's very soul-bearing. It's giving people a window into your mind, and you're saying, these are my thoughts. What do you think of them? When you actually go to the point of putting them out in the world, it takes a lot of risk. So it takes that a lot of energy to put aside what I do full-time and then say, I'm going to spend this extra energy and do more and work on this writing, and then take that other step of risk. And I think when I look at my career, it really boils down to risk. At a certain point, the goal that I had of, I really want to do this thing. I want to work in animation. I want to work in VFX. I want to write. Whatever that creative goal is, once that goal outweighs the fear, and because all of us have fear, even the most accomplished of us have imposter syndrome and fear. It can really peck away. But when the goal outweighs that fear, that's when you can make those strides forward. Even if it's a small stride,
my whole career, managing people on a daily and getting them past their own selves. Like, risk also comes with fear of failure, right? Like, and fear of failure is real. It goes along with imposter syndrome. I've had it my whole career. I think we all in this room can agree that we all have it in one shape or form. To put yourself out there and whether it's a pitch you're trying to go out, like you go out to the network, like to get something sold, it's hard. Like, I think of shows like Ted Lasso, it took them 10 years to get that. But it's about the consistency. It's about believing in yourself. And it's also about like shifting strategies too. Like, I think sometimes we are too laser focused on our goals. And sometimes we need to be open to the journey and what kind of the rest of the industry is kind of moving towards. And so I find a lot of times, even when I'm working with my clients, is they'll be like, okay, I have this one project I want to go out. And I was like, you need to be working on several projects. Like, it can't just be about this one, because the odds of it getting made are not great. So the more that you can have multiple things going on, the greater it is. Now, the biggest thing to remember is it's about brand. So to me, it's like, no matter what you do, whether you're leading in curiosity in different areas, it's all about the connective tissue and the things you want to be doing. So if you're a writer, it's like living in that same tonal universe. You can have a spec script for TV, for feature, for a podcast, but they all need to live in a same tonal universe. If you have been, like, I know a friend of mine, he's like a high up CG suit, and he's like, I'm going to go direct rom-coms. And I was like, those two things, those aren't a connective tissue. That's going to be a harder leap to like shift your career. So like for me, I went from being in the studio system, I was a recruiter for years. I didn't want to be a recruiter anymore. Like, I was done with that job. I also didn't want to be a traditional development executive. So what does that mean? That means I had to figure out a path that kind of combined both of those, and I also had to start my whole career over. So I went from going all the way to the top, I blew up the whole thing because I wasn't feeling inspired anymore. And that takes risk, right? It's going to take me, anytime you start a new business or a new venture, it's not a guarantee that it works out, but if you believe and you have the driven, it's kind of that sweat equity that you're putting in yourself and your time, and the only person that can control that is you. I find that, people have kind of, whether it's an inner monologue that holds them back or whatever perception they have that maybe people will perceive them as. But if you're like trying to do something, you have to work on it, and you have to be consistent at it, and you have to put yourself out there. I believe in also manifestation. Manifestation is really about telling people and verbalizing what your goals are to other people, so they can help you in achieving those. What people don't know, what they don't know. And oftentimes, we just hold it so close to the vest. So when I started my nonprofit, like, I didn't do that by myself. I rallied people with me. So I have 2 other co-founders. And I also aligned myself with people that I'm not a great, I'm an ideator, I'm not a good executor. So I need people who are like producers that will go along with me and like, okay, this is your idea. This is the steps that we're going to make it and come to fruition. So surround yourself by people that want to hold you accountable. And then 2, that can help you execute whatever it needs to be. So like for me as a rep, for whether it's writers or directors, like I'm the one that's holding my creatives accountable. They're like, I want to do this. I have another client, he's a writer at Disney, and he's created like 3 shorts. And they're Walt Disney Animation Studios, but they use new technology like AR and VR. And so for the past year, we've been working and figuring out where he wants to go past Disney. And then about 9 months in, I was like, you don't, like, all the things you're creating on your own and the things you create within the studio are non-traditional storytelling. So you're saying you want to go up for jobs at DreamWorks and at Sony to be a director, but all the things you're creating are the opposite of what those jobs are. So sometimes I think the 2 don't connect as well. So doing some self-reflection And I think sometimes how we use that conviction, like, is what really sells you for that opportunity, whether it's selling a project or it's selling you as a human or whatever it is. But I think even little things about perception of conviction is important. I have another client, female director. She was doing a pitch back for a couple projects, one at Netflix and one at Warner Brothers, and we were practicing her pitches. And she would say something like, I think this could be the direction, like the visual could go in. And I was like, I want you to remove, I think. It's like, this is my vision. This is how I'm going to execute. So if you're going for whatever it is, people just want to feel like you got this, right? So it's a hard disposition to kind of take on, especially if that's not something that comes natural to you. But that's kind of how you can make those connections and drive things forward.
Yeah, I think with that too, like a theme underlying is just being comfortable with the uncomfortable. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty. Like one of the biggest givens in life is literally the uncertainty of like what's going to happen. Is this going to work out? Am I going to flop? Am I going to look silly? Am I going to start doubting myself? Like, is this going to go well? We don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty, but being open to being comfortable with that, as well as pivoting, like they were mentioning, is that sometimes you go down one path or you're trying this, but maybe you could try something else too. Like you have to be flexible. But also with vulnerability is just on top of manifestation is being okay with opening yourself up. For me, coming out of the realm that I was in, I had come from like a little bit more of a pageant background where I was used to being judged on things I couldn't control. And I was really sick of that, but I was used to that weird zone and lane that I had put myself into. So being judged off of something that I created that you had no idea what I looked like. You had no idea anything else besides me, besides my voice and what I was creating for your imagery, and kind of bring a very vulnerable, intimate spot. When I started doing that, I was so icked out by myself. Like it was just so weird to hear your voice, and you're like, ooh, I didn't know I sounded like that. And it was very uncomfortable. It felt like a completely different path that I was going down. And you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable in that sense. Otherwise, how are you going to grow? Like, how are you going to figure out if that's the path you're supposed to be on? And then to their point, too, with the manifestation is speaking out loud that, yes, I am an author. Yes, I am a voiceover actress. Yes, I can produce audiobooks. Like being, even if it's something small that you've accomplished, if you're writing, you're a writer. Like if you're musical, you're a musician, right? Like it's okay to be able to say that stuff out loud, whether you have a huge backup just yet, but the more that you say it, the more that you believe it, and that imposter syndrome can shut up and go to the corner of the room, and you're able to start to take those steps down that pathway, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I done did it. Like, yes, I did produce an audiobook. Yes, like, I am on these pathways that I want to be on. But if you never speak them to existence, you're not trying the uncomfortable stuff. You're not willing to pivot into a new direction because something flopped or didn't work out the way you thought. You're just going to be stagnant. Years are going to pass, and you sit there and go, man, I'm the person talking about I wish I could have, I would have, if I could go back in time. And I think all three of us standing up here, at some point we took a little jump and were super uncomfortable and felt like super naked with whether it's our voice or our writing or, you know, completely pivoting and going into a new direction, which like diary of the mouth guys here. But I think everyone's nodding and understands, right? Like you have to be uncomfortable, be cool with the uncertainty, make the jump, because we talked yesterday, shavings make a pile. So even if it's just a little nugget that you can get done today, maybe in a month from now, you're gonna have a really cool, like 20-piece nugget set.
Yes, definitely. I can remember when, so I started out as an interior designer and a muralist, and I actually built up my business. So I was a sole proprietor. It was just me. It was job to job to job, and I did some really great murals that I was very proud of. But it was tiring work. I can't tell you how many cherubs on the ceiling I painted. So many. And then I started to realize some of the drawbacks. I was never at a comfortable painting height. there's something else out there for me. I used to have pipe dreams about, maybe I could work in gaming. That would be so amazing. I love running around in an environment and checking out a game. I didn't think it was possible, and then I ended up going to school for CG. I decided to start all over. Like Allison, if my life was a cup full of pencils, I spilled it all over the table, and I'm like, I'm going to start over. I went back to school, and my parents thought it was a terrible idea. You're becoming a professional student, Lorin. What are you doing? I'm not a professional student. I'm just trying to find my path. I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do. And so I'm not saying that you have to start over, start from scratch again, do your schooling all over, but I had an idea. I thought I can do something. I can maybe create something larger if it's a part of a team. A production team can get a lot more done. This is how we create animated movies and TV shows. While I was at DreamWorks, I was at DreamWorks for almost 7 years. I actually don't even know how many shows I worked on. We did so much work. I created some of the greatest characters in my list, and I'm just like, this is fantastic. But it was because I thought, I took that jump, just like Gina said, I took the jump and I thought, I'm gonna do this. I was all in. And it was risky, it was very risky. I had no money, I had pretty much nothing going for me. I cashed anything that I had made in my business, went into school, and then I went into debt, and it was a huge financial risk. But I believed in something. I work really hard. If I keep at this, I can make something of it. I met fantastic people. I met Alison there. But along the way, I thought, I'm going to also write, because I love to do this. It's something that inspires me. I'm a visual storyteller in animation. I'm also a storyteller in words. And then I met Gina. And by taking these risks and saying, yes, I'm going to do this thing, it's scary sometimes. Somebody might not like what I did. We get reviews on animated shows that I've worked on that I've put really hard work into, and some people don't like it, because not everything is for everyone. It just can't be. Sometimes risk comes with accepting the fact that not everybody's going to like it. But you can make your best effort to make something that's going to resonate with people. Ultimately, being creative and wanting to put yourself out there creatively means that you want to connect with people. You want to put something out there that is going to resonate with them. It may be for you, but it's also for others. And so, what do people respond to? What matters to them? And so I like to put it in that perspective of, how are people going to feel about this? What emotion do I want to evoke?
I think something else too that, as you were talking about that, is changing your pathway. I've been in corporate America for a while, and yes, I'm kind of climbing a ladder, but something hit me one day where I realized, is this a ladder that I want to keep climbing? Like, is it really fulfilling my soul? And I'm like, yeah, let's get promoted. Oh my God, cool, thanks so much, guys. Great, I can buy like more cool groceries and the cupcakes that I last week was like, no, maybe I shouldn't buy those. But that hit me like a ton of bricks, because all my life there was something creative in me that needed to get out. And I wish when I was 17 or 15 or whatever that I knew exactly what path I wanted to be on. Joke's on me, I'm 30 and I still have no flippin' clue. Like I know I want to be creatively, I know I love the path I'm on right now, but I'm also excited about other avenues of creatively expressing myself and creating something other people can enjoy, whether it's something more heartfelt, or it's something like making them laugh, whatever it might be. And I just know I have to do something creative, because if I don't, it feels like death to me. It felt like I had a huge, I guess, quarter-life-ish crisis, depending on how long I live, of just realizing, okay, I'm waking up every day. I'm doing this job that I'm really good at, and I'm comfortable with what I'm doing. And people are telling me good things. I'm getting good feedback. I should be more excited about waking up and doing this job than I really am. And I still kept going to bed at night, just going through the motions, feeling like I wasn't accomplishing anything. I wasn't putting my footprint in this world. I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I wasn't creating an impact. And I thought, man, when I'm sitting there talking to my great-grandkids. Am I going to be teaching them based off of what I did and the jumps I took and the weird pathways I went to, besides people around me having no idea what I was talking about and sometimes people not being supportive? Or am I going to be telling them all the things I regret and all the moments that I wish I would have trusted myself? And am I going to teach them again from a ladder I climbed that I didn't want to be on? Or am I going to teach them I jumped off that ladder can sayonara, and did I make my own ladder that I wanted to climb? That has driven me so much further. And even if I'm still balancing those two and I'm still in that beginning period, wherever you are in your life, is if you're sitting here and you're like nodding your head like, yeah, I'm like making money and I'm paying my bills doing this thing, but like I feel like my soul is dying and I have more to give. Like, screw it, do the giving, like do it. Even if it's what Lorin's talking about, it's just a little smidge every day. Whatever your capacity of 350 words is, whatever your creative soul is telling you to do, my goodness, please, dear Lord, beg Jesus, do it. Just a little smidge. So that's my part of the TED Talk, guys. Thank you so much.
I think to that TED Talk, that we often wait for validation in order to create or to have the job that we want. And I think that we don't give ourselves credit, and we have a lot of agency. So if there is something you want to do, it is your job to figure it out. This is your life. This is your career. Like, you decide where you want to put your time and energy, and you just make it happen. Like, I have twin 7-year-olds. I run a nonprofit. I work full time. I'm directing a short. I want to write a book. Like, I just chip it away, and I look for goals. And like, people are asking how I do it, and I just like, that's what filled my bucket. Is like always trying to push myself and learn, because we only have this life once. I've also had cancer twice, so for me, like knowing that my time is limited, it really holds a shadow over and have that perspective of what do I want to accomplish before I leave this world. And so don't wait for like that sign to shake you and say, this is where you want to spend your energy. It's happened to me. It was interesting because I got diagnosed twice, and the first time I was like, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and then I didn't do it. Because I was like, oh, this won't happen to me again. And then it happened again, and then that's when I kicked into gear, and I was like, well, I'm just going to do all the things. I always wanted to direct a short. I wanted to be an animator in our industry. I got discouraged. I was young. I didn't pursue. And now I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go direct a short. I was like, that is something I want to accomplish before I leave this world. I want to, for multiple reasons. One, because that was the career I originally wanted to lead. Two, I feel like I finally have a story that I want to tell and put out into the world. And three, if I'm going to tell creatives how to create, I better go through the experience of doing it myself and being in the shoes that they walk in every day to create, and just lead with empathy and be able to connect in that way. But I think everything is there to figure out. Everything, I don't think you need studio validation to tell you you're creative anymore. You don't need to wait for a publisher to pick up a book that you want to write. You can do these on your own. It just takes a little bit more, I don't know, finesse, but also just believing in yourself and like holding yourself accountable. We all have stuff that we have to overcome. They're all, again, narratives that we create for ourselves. But I guarantee whatever you feel people are thinking about you, you're thinking about yourself way harder than that. They're already thinking about themselves. Like, they're not spending that much time. So just whatever it takes every day. I use Pinterest sometimes as like my vision board for my goals. Sometimes I use pre-pandemic. BRIC was pretty much created during my commutes when I was driving from North Hollywood to Culver City or Santa Monica. Those 2 to 4 hours, depending on traffic. So, like, whatever it is like, how do you carve out that time to build up the thing that you want to do?
Yeah, and I also like to recommend collaborative projects when possible. Alison and I have collaborated on projects in the past, and I've worked with other artists, and it's a great way to actually get something done when you're working on it's in your corner and you've got to do this thing. It's creating that what did you call it earlier, Allison? Accountability. It's really accountability. You're working on something together. You can get more done, and because somebody else is depending on you, you've really got to do the thing, whatever that is. Whether it's art related, whether it's music related, visual. If you're say somebody else is doing the music, and you're the person at the computer that's doing the compositing or something like that, working together, you're able to combine these creative energies and put something out that maybe you couldn't have done on your own. It's a really fantastic time, I feel like, with being able to actually spread out so much more, whether it be in, in more analog format where if you're actually drawing or if it's digital, whatever the means, I think there's a lot available out there in order to express yourself creatively.
I think it's like anything in life, right? You need a village, and it takes, you might be surrounded by a lot of people that, like for me, my big circle is a lot of people that want to climb a corporate ladder and, want to manage a team and be the director of this and such. But having one person in my life that I can go to at all times that's also pursuing a creative outlet is all you need. Like one other person to be able to bounce ideas off of, hold you accountable. Are you working towards things, or are you just thinking about them? Are you learning about them, or are you doing them? That's vital. Just like they say that it takes a village to raise kids, it takes a village to accomplish your own goals too. And I've learned too, just from building more of my support system, every single human that is creative, we all share the same issue of being way too hard on ourselves. I mean, immensely. Like, you have this brain and these talents that work in a different outlet, that you see things outside of a box. You see things that don't exist yet, right? You have all these ideas nonstop running through your head all day long, and you're the first one to tell yourself, I don't know if I can do that. I'm not that good. No, self-doubt. And like imposter syndrome takes over, and I would love to see some research. I would bet all the money possible that creatives suffer from imposter syndrome more than any other population of people. So, I mean, it's so true. It's like, have a village, have the mentorship, collaborate, so that way you have somebody else that is hyping you up, and your role is hyping them up too, and making sure you guys accomplish those goals. You're working on something and getting it done. Q&A?
Yeah.
Q&A, or if you want to talk about something you're stuck on, we can like workshop it. So it can be questions or workshop. Don't be shy. Yes, go for it.
Hi. Thank you so much. Like, so much of this is super relatable. So I used to work in like corporate advertising, sales, completely burnt out, went into restaurants. Anyways, I have ADHD.
And my son just got diagnosed.
I was diagnosed at 13, and I was like, I don't know. I didn't get any treatment, and then was re-diagnosed as an adult and realized, oh, that's why everything is so hard.
Yes.
Now I'm in a different position where, like, on the one hand, I've accomplished a dream. I'm an artist, which is really hard to say. I'm an artist, but I do hand-painted candle holders, which is hard to say. It sounds like nothing, but I have a wait list now, like an Instagram following. I'm getting one signed by Sean Astin of Samwise. Like, I do Star Wars nerdy. I'm really passionate about that stuff. But I feel like I was relating while we were talking about being in interior design. I'm at a point right now where I'm very on my own. I work about 4 days a week. Like, I'm doing handmade. Like, my back is in pain. Every month I'm stressed about doing, and they take me a long time. I guess my question is, I'm noticing that, like, I feel a bit of a skills gap. Like, I don't know where to go from here. I don't quite know my vision. I don't know if I need to do classes for, like, I know nothing about digital art. Like, I can't reproduce these. I can't make prints of what I make. I have to just hand paint everyone. And so I guess I'm asking sort for advice as like a hand-painted, handmade artist. And again, where I don't really know my goal, I know I'd love to work with them. Like, you put me in, you know, the ADHD hyperfocus. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. You put me making the creatures on the Mandalorian or something, like I could. But what would kind of be? I've been very paralyzed and kind of overwhelmed, not knowing how to. What would be steps maybe to kind of break out, or a class, or should I do digital? Should I learn digital art? Is that just something that I'll need to do?
Are you saying you want to pivot into a creative job in the industry? Is kind of what, like,
Well,
taking that and like moving it outside?
I'm feeling like in my corporate jobs, I was very creatively starved, and these I've never been more fulfilled. But the uncertainty of trying to sell enough of one again that takes me so many hours, I'm feeling like, and with the ADHD, like I need more structure. But I don't know really what kind of company jobs or like exist for hand painted artists, or to even get in the door somewhere that having some kind of more, if I should need to kind of expand my skills if I have no skills, and like I don't think I could do illustration because I don't know digital, or I don't.
Yeah. So when I started, I went to Gnomon School of Visual Effects, and when I started, I didn't know the digital side whatsoever. I just took a class because I was lacking direction. I was doing things, but it was all kind of going nowhere. And I just wasn't sure. I was just lost. I was pretty lost in multiple facets of my life. And I took one class just like in an off chance. I'm like, I just need some inspiration. And I found this whole other world and all these other people that were me. How did I get there? Like, I never really met other people that were like me, that were driven to do the art. But so where I grew up was I was like the weird kid. You know, it's Lorin. She's just off doing some art somewhere. So I didn't really have anybody that I could connect with and bounce ideas off of. So going and just taking one class, this whole world opened up to me. And it turned out to be, at first it was very overwhelming, learning the digital side. I was super bad at it. I did not know Photoshop the first time. Like, I was used to painting skies for days and days and days until I got tendinitis.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I painted a gradation in Photoshop, which is click drag, and I got angry because I'm like, that's not fair. That's not fair. It's 2 seconds. I did a 4-day gradation, people. It was like huge. And I'm like, well, I kind of earned the button in that sense. I've like done it for real. But yeah, I started to learn it, and it was a lot to learn. There's totally anxiety-inducing laundry list of things to learn to be able to say, okay, I can do this in digital format. But there's so many classes out there. When I started, there weren't a lot of avenues for learning. Right now, if you wanted to, you could take classes online. Fengju has all of his classes online for free on YouTube. You could do, if self-guided works for you, you could go the budget route. That's like, you can find it all online. There are other online schools. I'm a teacher at Annam School. Actually, I teach my trade at Annam School. So you can learn how to be a look development artist. There's a lot that goes into it. I'm not trying to imply that it's a small process, but yeah, I think it's about really, like Alison was saying, taking stock of yourself, looking at, what you want to do, what's your direction, and really evaluating that. You could find a path in different senses. Like, you could go to school if you wanted to, if that were financially feasible, if the time is possible. There are so many creative people that you could connect with. I think connecting with people would be really helpful to see, well, what's your path? What do you do? And getting inspiration, finding a direction, because the hand painted stuff is fantastic, but it's really, really hard to maintain over a long period of time. So that would be my suggestion, is to reach out. There's lots of online forums. ArtStation. Do you have advice for how to reach out and find more people?
I always say, like, I have a couple ideas, maybe 2 or 3, of like whose career you want to emulate, and like look at their paths. Then you can, like, everything is there. Like, if there's a movie or if there's posters you like all of it is like credited. So I just reverse engineer everything that I do when I'm trying to track somebody or something down. So
choice, and your design gets printed, and it's basically print on demand, and you're just supplying the design. So that's a very like dip your toes in the water kind of thing. See if people pick up your design. There's lots of limits on that in terms of no IPs. You can't be replicating a Disney, Disney thing, Marvel superheroes. None of that. They will kick it out super quick. But that's kind of a gentle ease yourself into the water that way. And also low financial impact. It's not really going to cost you much. You can look up the tutorials on YouTube on how to make a seamless pattern. Any other questions? Oh, yes.
Do you have any sites that you would recommend for someone trying to get into the creative industry, like more like PA roles or just kind of entry level jobs to kind of look on, apply to, and then figure out a path through there?
Awesome.
Hollylist is a good one. Indeed is a good one. LinkedIn. And then just like, I think when it comes to those, any type of job that you're going for, it's almost a fake it till you make it. Like when you go into those interviews, like after I was a recruiter for a long time, and I would have people who would apply for I could see every job they applied for. So then it's like they're applying for a PA job, an admin job, a coordinator, like it was all over the place. So it comes back to your brand and where do you want to put your energy. So just as you're looking for those jobs, those entry-level jobs, one, like figure out like what company inspired you. Like when I apply for jobs, I haven't really done it in a long time, but I really would only apply for 1 or 2 jobs because I was like, I will get a job there because that's the place I want to work, and I will do whatever it takes to work there in that position. So like be very focused on that end when you're looking for those jobs, and just know on the back end, recruiters can see every role that you apply for, and that tends to be a red flag. I think we have one more question, and we'll move on. Yep.
Yeah.
She was talking to us. Yeah.
So this is a writing question. So I'll do post-production as an assistant editor, and I do that as my career in photography and videography and like creative outlets. But writing has been something I've always wanted to do and been like struggling to do it. Earlier what you said about like 350 words a day, that's a good idea. But I wanted to ask. So I'm a really good like world builder, but when it comes to like writing actual substance and like storylines and like situations, like I have like this overwhelming fear of like not doing it the right way.
Yeah, the thing to keep in mind is it's words on a page. We can always edit them. It's like sculpting. You start chipping away at it, and then maybe you accidentally knock up a nose or something. So what? Stick it back on, or change it. You can always try something, and you don't have to include it. One thing that I do a lot is sometimes I'll get inspired by a scene. Like I will see a scene, because I'm a very visual person, and I can see how it's all playing out, and it's just, I have to write this right now. And I didn't write the before, and I don't write the after, and sometimes I wrote that scene and it sits for a long time. So if the world building part is exciting and you've got an idea, okay, I've got a thing, and I wrote this part. It's okay that it's not connected yet.
I heard that, I don't know, 20 years ago. And so it's these things that I know if it sticks that long, that it mattered to me. So if that's the part that I'm struggling with, I will try to filter in something that made an impact, and I will find a way to work it. And then I'll just kind of let it sit. In art, it's a really good idea to like flip the mirror. If you draw something, look at it in a mirror, because your brain gets used to the way you've seen it for however long you've been working on it. So with writing, I like to shelve it. Anything that's hard, I shelve it for a while. I'm like, okay, I can't think about this for a bit. And then I revisit it. What feelings does it bring back to me? And I try to then edit it. Because that's the great thing, like I was saying, it's words on a page, you can edit it. If you don't love how it turned out, if it didn't hit that feeling that you were going for, you can copy it and make a new document. Nobody ever has to see it. But it's the start, it's that kernel. And I think it all goes back to the fear and the risk, right? We get this fear of what are people going to think? Are they think it's not that good? It's just not going to land with them? It's that fear that starts to cut away at our confidence. But when the goal outweighs the fear, I really want to write. I really, really want to do this thing. It just takes consistency.
And get into writing groups, like get into a writing group, and then there's other resources. Like there's a lot of scripts. If you're like, I don't know how to format, you can download scripts from online. There's scripts available to read for different, like Launchpad and all these other writing kind of resources. Austin Film Festival has an amazing podcast that talk about script writing that I listen to, because I have a bunch of writers I rep, and I knew nothing about writing structure, and so I had to educate myself. And I still am not somebody that can go through a script on a fine tooth comb, but I know creative strategy, so I play to my strengths. And I was also dyslexic, and then my friend turned me on to this. It's called Speechify, where I can upload scripts. So like things that might be your blinders, there are 100% workarounds for every single thing to allow you to be successful in it.
I think my last little bit here too is something that's helped me is on things that I'm not comfortable with is staying really nosy and curious. And like the little sister syndrome in me is just ask a bunch of obnoxious questions and never stop until I feel comfortable with it. So if that's a component that makes you like the imposter syndrome creep up, you're like, I just don't feel comfortable with it. Even playing around with it's literally in your circle, the people around you, asking them more questions on their relationships, their experiences, trying to get into their head. Because if you're really comfortable with creating the world, but not necessarily those interpersonal relationships and that storyline, is start to look and analyze all the other relationships and around you, and maybe that'll creep up on some of that inspiration, or you'll hear a phrase that sticks with you for 20 years, but just be nosy.
From that end, thank you so much for coming to hang out with us. Have a great rest of your time.
And Gina and I are at Artist Alley, table B31. Swing by and say hi, and if you ever want to reach out, get some feedback, advice, anything, I'll hand you my business card. You can contact me anytime. I'm happy to help.
Where was it again?
Thank you.